I, 36-year-old female, live with my husband, 41-year-old male. I have a decent relationship with my mother-in-law. Compared to a lot of the horror stories I hear from friends, she's quite sweet and warm. She is, however, a little over-controlling, overprotective. I'm not sure of the exact word, but she has very strong ideas about things and no sense of boundaries. For example, when she stays at our house, she takes over the kitchen completely and insists on cooking all our meals. She cooks wonderfully, but she won't let me help her at all and puts everything away in the wrong places, and then insists that her way is more logical. She only really comes for holidays, though, and I do like her a lot, so I don't mind putting up with these mild annoyances. I'm currently pregnant with our little girl, who will be born in a few months. This is a miracle. I really didn't think it would happen, especially so late, but we got lucky. When my mother-in-law heard, she was super excited and said she would come over to help us get ready for the baby. She offered to stay for the next 6 months or so to help out, because my husband and I both work long hours and it will be hard to handle the baby on top of this. She is also pretty emotionally invested in this because she truly sees herself as part of our family. She arrived a few days ago and set herself up. Then she started with the cleaning. I like collecting things from garage sales and such, things like little sculptures and books and baskets, stuff a lot of people would consider utter junk. Our house is definitely overstuffed, but it's reasonably tidy and doesn't seem like a hoarder's house or anything. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, likes everything surgically clean. Yesterday, I came home from work to find the house like a war zone. She went through my cabinets and cleared out everything she considered junk, and had apparently made several trips to Goodwill before I got home. I was really angry and I asked her why she would ever do this. She said the house has to be tidy for the baby, and that it would be dangerous for the baby to be in my cluttered house. Then she took the next huge bag of stuff and tried to walk out the door. I kind of lost it, and I told her she could get out right now. She was shocked that I was serious, and she said she doesn't have anywhere to go and it's so late. It was about 9:30. I booked her a hotel room and called a taxi. My husband came home an hour later, and when I told him what happened, he was furious with me. He says I disrespected his mum and was ungrateful for everything she's trying to do for us. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but your mother-in-law wants to be a mum raising a baby again, your baby. If you allow her to stay, you will change the relationship with your child forever. She will never allow you to bond with your child, cook a meal, whatever. She is taking over your house and she will take over raising your baby. This isn't going to work. Throwing her out at 9:30 at night was not the best way to handle this, but her tearing your house apart as if she is in charge and it's her house is just as wrong. Just because you like or tolerate your mother-in-law in small doses doesn't mean it is healthy for you in large doses or permanently. She isn't coming for 6 months. She to need you 6 months because by that time she will be embedded in your house and won't leave. You and your husband need to have a talk about all of this. You and your husband and the little human you are growing. Your life will change with this baby. You are growing the little human for 40 weeks. You will have a bond with your baby. You won't want to leave your baby. You won't want to consistently work long hours because you will miss your baby and want to get home quick to be with your baby. There are no words to adequately describe what you will feel physically, emotionally and mentally once your baby is born. My husband and I had high-tech, high-energy careers. I travelled a lot for my job, totally type A, take no prisoners in my career. When I had our son, everything changed. I hated travelling all the time. I preferred to be home. I went from being in the office or on the road to working from home 3 days a week and having my sister-in-law babysit the other 2 days. She would babysit more often when I had to travel. When our son got to be 3 and we wanted him in preschool, I changed positions to eliminate the travel to twice a year, because my husband couldn't control his travel, but I could by changing positions which involved a pay cut, but tolerable because it was important to put the needs of our child first. You cannot be an effective parent to your child and develop a bond with your child if you have a mother-in-law that wants to take over your house. It's not going to work. She will make you feel incompetent. She already does. She will take over everything, including your baby. I suspect that is not what you want. She can't help herself. It's who she is. She doesn't allow you in your own kitchen when she visits. Do you really think she will allow you around your own baby? If you want her raising your child, that's fine. That is what happens in some cultures. The parents work and the grandparents raise the children. So as you don't get to raise your own child, but you will raise your grandchildren, unless the now adult child moves out. If you want to raise your own child your way, your mother-in-law cannot live with you. You need to figure out an alternative for childcare. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but you may want to consider why she did that. Your house may actually be cluttered with junk and she was helping. I of course don't have photos of your house in its previous state, but what she did still was an move edit. I didn't expect upvotes for this LOL. I also see a lot of people commenting things I agree with, and I did make some responses, but I simply don't plan to sift through all of the comments. However, I did try to respond, or at least upvote the ones that stuck out before opening them. All started making my Reddit app act weird. OP, if you also don't plan to sift through everything in the sub-comments, basically go get your shoot from Goodwill ASAP before it's sorted and sold. Also, from one expectant mum to another, best wishes with your baby. You will always have people telling you what to do with your pregnancy, child and life from here on out, because they've done it already. Learn to be firm on boundaries and telling people you receive their parenting advice if they try giving it to you, regardless of if you want to use it. Comment 3. Not the idiot. What your mother-in-law did crossed every line for a guest in anyone's home, and in fact, you could make a very good case for theft of your belongings. If your mother-in-law truly wanted to help you, she would have asked before she touched a single thing, and would have accepted it if you told her no for any action she wanted to do. Instead, she did everything while you were away, when she knew you could not object or tell her no. You also have a husband problem. He made a vow to forsake all others until death do you part, and it looks like he's not doing that now. It looks like he's choosing his mother over you. He should have been enforcing the sanctity of the two of your home against her overbearing ways all along. And you need to get this worked out now before the baby comes, or your mother-in-law is going to be running your home, not you. Now for the update. So things have gotten worse. After the disastrous cleaning incident, my mother-in-law went back to her own house, and there were a few blissful, quiet days where I thought maybe things would calm down. Boy, was I wrong. Out of nowhere, she sends me a message saying she's signed me up for a motherhood training course. It's a 3 days a week for a whole month ordeal. I was appalled. The audacity it takes to do something like that without even asking me first. I confronted her about it, but she simply shrugged it off and said, "It's for your own good, dear." I was furious and told her I wasn't going and that she had no right to make decisions for me. And then she actually called my OBGYN. Yes, you read that right. She somehow got the number of my doctor and called him, asking if she could come to my appointments to make sure everything's going okay. I didn't even know until I got a call from my doctor asking if I was okay with her request. I was mortified and told him no, absolutely not. Next, she took it upon herself to announce my pregnancy to everyone. She made this grand Facebook post about becoming a grandmother and tagged us, so now all our friends, colleagues and distant relatives know. And we hadn't even crossed the first trimester line, something we had specifically told her we were waiting for. The cherry on top, she started showing up at my husband's workplace. She would bring him lunch, ask about me and the baby, and even tried to meddle in his work. My husband is too polite to tell her to stop and keeps telling me to calm down, that she's just being caring. I'm at my wit's end. I can't cope with her constant meddling and controlling behaviours. I think it's time for a serious talk with my husband about setting some boundaries with his mother before she completely wrecks our lives. Is it too much to ask for some peace during my pregnancy? Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. It's your body, your baby and your choice. She has no right to sign you up for a course without your consent, let alone contact your OBGYN or announce your pregnancy on social media. It's a serious violation of your privacy, and she's crossing major boundaries. You definitely need to have that conversation with your husband and set some ground rules. 2. Not the idiot. The fact that she's also interfering with your husband's work is a huge red flag. It shows that she doesn't respect either of you as adults or as a couple. Also, it's not her place to decide what's for your own good. You're a grown woman capable of making your own decisions. It's time to lay down the law and make it clear that she can't control your lives. 3. Not the idiot. Your mother-in-law's behaviour is not just intrusive, but it's also disrespectful to you, your husband, and your professional relationships. She's not considering your feelings or the potential risks of announcing a pregnancy early, which could lead to unnecessary stress. It's important that your husband supports you in setting boundaries. If she can't respect these boundaries, you may need to consider limiting her involvement in your lives. Now, for the next story. I'm a single mother to 2 children, ages 8 and 6. I work as a nurse for 12-hour shifts, 3 days a week, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Since my husband passed away, I needed a nanny to take care of my kids after school from 3 p.m. onwards. I decided to have a live-in nanny since I have a guest bedroom. I live near a university, and around this time my niece had just been accepted there. She wanted to save money on dorm fees, so she offered to watch my kids on those 3 days if she could live with us rent-free. I agreed to this arrangement and also offered to pay her $22 per hour, which is a competitive rate in our area. Since she finishes her classes by 1 p.m, it works out perfectly. She prepares dinner for the kids and puts them to bed, and then she has free time for herself. However, I pay her from 3 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. This arrangement has been working fine for the past 2 years, and my niece hasn't complained about it. However, my niece recently got a paid internship related to her major, which starts in January. She won't be available to watch my kids anymore. I congratulated her on the internship and said I could help her find student housing or an apartment. We have 3 months to figure it out. She was confused and upset when I told her that she would have to move out, since I needed a live-in nanny and only had 1 guest room. She argued that it isn't fair because she won't be able to save money if she has to pay for a dorm or an apartment. She can afford to live on her own but won't have much savings. I explained that this arrangement works best for me because on the other 2 days I work, my kids have to go to aftercare until I finish around 5 p.m, so it's more convenient for the nanny to pick them up from school rather than having them stay at aftercare for so long. My niece suggested that the nanny could leave when her shift ends, but I spoke to some nannies who understandably don't want to drive home so late. Additionally, I'm fine with both the nanny and my niece sleeping after the kids go to bed. It doesn't make sense for them to sleep, wake up and drive while feeling drowsy. I also feel nervous driving home so late, especially after a long shift. My sister-in-law, my niece's mother, thinks this is unfair to my niece, but she agreed to move in under the condition that she works as a nanny. My sister-in-law and brother live 3 hours away, so commuting isn't an option for my niece if she moves back in with them. They think I should find a nanny who would be willing to drive home at 12:30 a.m. It would take me a minimum of half an hour to get home, but all the nannies I've spoken to have said no or expressed concern about their safety driving so late. Am I the jerk, Aita? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. So you need to find a nanny that doesn't want to live with you. This would upset your whole lives. Your niece agreed to be the nanny if she could live rent-free and be a your paid nanny. Now she wants to end your agreement and wants you to sacrifice your family routine so she doesn't have to change anything in her life. Tell her you will be charging $1,000 a month plus utilities and food if she stays. Is your whole family so self-centered? It is your job to put your children and your life before what niece and sister want. Stand up or be walked on your choice. Comment 2. Not the idiot. She fully knows she moved into a room that was intended for a nanny, as she fulfilled that role for 2 years. It is unfair for her to now demand a change to the arrangement, especially since this would be at a heavy cost to you. They are also an adult who has been paid a nice hourly rate between 3 p.m. and 12 a.m. without any rent being charged. What were they doing with that money? After 2 years they could have something set aside. Tuition isn't cheap, but wholly have they squandered a great opportunity if they can't be ready to move out in 3 months. Comment 3, not the idiot. The living arrangement was for the nanny, a position that your niece was filling. It was not made for your niece, specifically. If your niece is quitting the nanny job, then that means she's also giving up the accoutrements that came with it. It sounds like she is misremembering, or just plain rewriting the terms of the arrangement to suit herself. Regardless, this is a problem that she has created for herself through wrong assumptions and lack of planning. Stand your ground. It's her problem to solve, not your burden to shoulder. Now for the update. So things have taken a turn for the worse, and I'm honestly at my wit's end. My niece has been avoiding me ever since the conversation we had about her moving out. She's been staying at one of her friends' places under the pretense of studying and leaving my kids with me on my working days. The kids have missed school more than once because of her sudden absences. I've tried reaching out to her, but she's been ignoring my texts and calls. I even tried to get in touch with her friends, but they've all been instructed not to pass on any messages. I finally broke down and hired a babysitter from a local service, but it's far from the ideal solution I had. The service is expensive, and the sitters are unreliable. The kids aren't comfortable with the irregularity and unfamiliar faces, which is affecting their schoolwork and sleeping schedules. To add to the drama, my sister, my niece's mother, has been acting out too. She's taken offence to my decision and is accusing me of being a bad aunt and an irresponsible parent. She's been posting about it on social media, stirring up a storm amongst our mutual friends and relatives. Some of them have taken her side, stating that I'm being too harsh. On top of all this, my niece's unpaid bills were sent to my address, since this is her official residence. Apparently she's been using my credit card for her online purchases. I confronted her about it, but she claimed she thought it was a shared card for family use. I ended up having to pay a hefty amount, as I didn't want my credit score to take a hit. I'm feeling utterly drained and taken advantage of. I've always tried to be fair and considerate, but now I'm questioning my own judgment. I'm considering putting my foot down and giving them a final ultimatum, but I'm afraid it might blow up and make things even worse than they are now. Now for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. You have every right to protect your finances and your peace of mind. Running up charges on your credit card is not just disrespectful, it's illegal. It's clear that your boundaries aren't being respected. It might be a good idea to freeze your credit and report the fraudulent charges. You have a responsibility to look out for your own well-being too, not just your niece's and her children's. 2. Not the idiot. Your niece is an adult and needs to take responsibility for her own children. It's not your job to be a backup parent, especially to the point where it's affecting the children's education. If she's not responding to your attempts to communicate, then it's time to take more drastic steps. An ultimatum might be necessary here. 3. Not the idiot. Your sister stirring up drama on social media is immature and unhelpful. If she was truly concerned about the well-being of her niece's children, she would be stepping in to help instead of just criticizing you. You're in a difficult situation and deserve support, not judgment. It might be worth considering whether you need to distance yourself from these toxic relationships for your own mental health. Now for the next story. One of my 24-year-old friends, Anna, 24-year-old, had a baby around 6 months back. Our friend group is otherwise childless. All of us used to hang out a lot before the baby was born. The baby changed dynamics because Anna wanted to bring the baby everywhere with her, and it's a baby. We tried to plan things around the baby to include Anna, but it always ended up badly. We shouldn't drink because Anna can't drink. We shouldn't be loud because the baby needs to sleep. The icing on the cake is that her baby is extremely fussy and cries all the time. It was just a downer for the rest of us, so we started hanging out without Anna and her baby. Last weekend, all of us went on a staycation. We had a great time and posted photos and videos on Instagram. Anna saw these and called me to ask why I did not ask her to come with. I tried telling her it was a last-minute plan and we could only find a child-free resort so as not to hurt her feelings. She called my bluff, sending me pics some random family had posted with kids at the resort. She kept forcing me, and I told her we did not want to hang out with her baby. She asked how can I say that about her baby. I asked her to leave it at that, but she wouldn't. I finally told her it's a baby and we're all young. We don't want to live our life around a baby she chose to have, that we get to do adult stuff and party all we wanted. Her baby is the only reason she wasn't invited. If she left the baby at home, she can come too. She got pissed off at me and called me an AH. She also sent a text in the group chat saying she is disappointed in all of us for excluding her just because she is a mum. Half of our friend group thinks I should not have told her the real reason and is mad at me. The other half thinks she is unreasonable. Am I the idiot for telling her the truth? From comments, we have tried to communicate to her about adults-only events before, other than openly saying don't come if you have to bring your baby. She refuses to leave the baby with her boyfriend or babysitter. Even when we say an event is adults only, like a dinner we had a few weeks ago, she still brought her baby. The baby cried throughout the night, earning us glares, and we had to leave early. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Everyone sucks here. Why don't people talk to each other anymore? The same way she called to confront you about being excluded from the staycation, you and your friends could have called her to tell her she was messing up the vibe of your group hangouts by bringing her baby all the time. There's nothing wrong with wanting child-free time with your friends, but pulling passive-aggressive stuff like this is wrong. With that said, Amy shouldn't have brought her baby to every get-together without making sure it was okay with the group. She also shouldn't be asking you to change your normal behavior to accommodate her baby. She needs to realize that having a baby changes your social life, and unless she's able to get reliable childcare, she has to accept that she won't be able to attend every outing or vacation. Comment 2. Not the idiot, you're not excluding her because she's a mum. You're excluding her because she makes being a mum everyone else's problem. She won't leave the baby home. Does it have a father present? Grandparents? Anyone who can watch it for a few hours? She expects you to cater to her needs. You shouldn't have to not drink just because she can't. It sounds like she doesn't remove the baby from the situation when it's fussy, so you all have to deal with it. You have every right to want to be young and act like it. She needs to accept that having a baby has changed things for her, but that doesn't mean everyone else has to change everything to accommodate that. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Doesn't sound like you were cruel about it. Your early 20s friends who want to go out, have some drinks and generally be in adult environments. You shouldn't be expected to revolve your whole social life around Anna's needs as a mother. Would be nice to occasionally do some stuff with her and the baby. And perhaps when the baby gets older, Anna can get a sitter and come out with you. You were right to tell her the truth. Now for the update. Since that episode, things have spiraled in the most unanticipated way. Just a few weeks back, Anna posted an announcement on our friend group's Facebook page. She was throwing a first birthday party for her baby, and we were all invited. She made a point to clarify that this event was obviously child-friendly. Mixed feelings echoed through the group. Many of us wanted to celebrate her child's milestone, but we knew attending would mean forfeiting our stance on child-free hangouts. And then there was the unspoken dread. Would this set a precedent for future gatherings to be centered around her child? Nevertheless, we collectively decided to attend, to show support and maybe mend the strained relationship. The day arrived and we were met with a scene straight out of a reality TV show. Anna had rented a private resort for the occasion and arranged for a clown, a magician and a petting zoo. The entire place was swarming with kids, causing chaos, and we were the only ones without children in tow. Anna seemed to revel in the discomfort we were surely experiencing, making a spectacle of us. At the cake cutting, she made a speech thanking everyone who had stood by her through thick and thin and understood the joys of parenthood. It was clearly a jab at us, and it was met with awkward clapping and forced smiles. Following this, the whole group was drafted into a mandatory baby race, where babies crawl to the finish line while parents cheer them on. Given we had no babies, we were assigned to cheer for other people's children. It was painfully awkward and felt more like a punishment than a fun activity. That night, we collectively decided to leave early, making feeble excuses of prior commitments. Since then, Anna has made it a point to exclude us from her life completely. She's gone as far as blocking us on social media and ignoring our calls and messages. Meanwhile, we're left to pick up the pieces of a friendship group now broken by these absurd events. To add to the mess, a minor faction within the group believes we deserved Anna's treatment and have started to side with her, causing a split in the group. There's a lot of tension, and it seems like our friend circle may never recover from this. We're all walking on eggshells, and the once joyful group of friends is now plagued by awkward silences and avoided topics. In hindsight, we probably should have handled the initial Anna baby situation better. But who could have foreseen that our decision would lead us down this uncomfortable path? This has been a learning experience for us all, albeit a rather unpleasant one. Now, for the comments. 1. Not the idiot. While Anna has every right to celebrate her baby's first birthday how she chooses, she should have been considerate of the fact that not everyone in the group is comfortable with child-centered events. She invited you knowing your preference for child-free gatherings, so expecting you to fully engage in an event centered around her child is a bit unfair. She could have made an effort to balance the event or at least communicate that the event will be child-focused. 2. Everyone sucks here. It's understandable that the group felt uncomfortable at a child-centered event, but they could have communicated their concerns to Anna instead of just leaving early. That said, Anna is also at fault here for not considering her friends' preferences and then cutting off contact when they didn't react as she wanted. It's a situation that could have been avoided with better communication from both sides. 3. No idiots here. Anna is in a new phase of life and naturally she wants to celebrate it, even if it makes her friends uncomfortable. The group did their best in trying to support Anna, but it's clear that they're not comfortable in child-centered events. It's unfortunate that Anna reacted by cutting off contact, but it could be that she felt hurt and misinterpreted their early exit as a sign of rejection. Both parties could have communicated better, but it's a tough situation with no clear villains. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.